All right, guys, welcome back to Fix or Pass. We are back again. I'm rolling solo this week. What we're gonna do is we picked one car. This is a Project 68 Pontiac GTO. And all we're gonna do today is just talk about kind of your dream build for this car. So I'm gonna basically be building a car on paper with a money is no object budget, basically, just kind of best of the best, how we would build it if we could. So we're just like window shopping and dreaming on like this really cool 68 Pontiac GTO. Without further ado, let's get it cracking.
Kapow! You want to win this 75 Ram Charger? All you got to do is subscribe to the RestoMods YouTube channel, and one of you guys is going to take it home when we hit 100,000 subscribers. It's coming fast. We got to get to work on this truck. You got to get to work subscribing to the channel, and you could win this thing.
Follow along when I talk about how I would build it, and then let us know in the comments how you guys would build it. If money was no object, you could build your dream GTO, what would you do? Would you do something similar to me or a whole different style of car? Let us know. We're always curious to see what your guys' thoughts are. Let's look at this listing. This is listed in Garden Grove, California. It's on Craigslist. Selling my 68 GTO Coupe Project. Running non-numbers matching Pontiac 400 4-barrel with a 400 trans. Factory bench seat GTO with the automatic shifter on the column. I have a copy of the PHS document. I think that's the Pontiac Historical Society. In hand, along with a clean California title. Original floor panels, glass, and I have a tote with other original parts that went with the car. New tires mounted and balanced. You don't see many GTOs with bench seating. He's not wrong about that. Most of those cars were bucket seats. They were kind of higher up on the GM trim levels. This car is listed for $11,500. Let's look at some big pictures of it. Looks like it might be in primer, or maybe it was a silver car that's kind of faded. This nose piece is notorious for not really fitting well on these cars. This one looks like it's got like factory fitment where you see a tiny bit of a gap here. I've seen guys go the extra mile and really fit this piece. I think if money was no object and you take this car to a body shop and paint, tell them to spend the time on fitting all this piece, because that kind of differentiates a real high-end GTO from a mostly original one. So he's got the new wheels and tires. We're gonna change all of that. We're just looking at pictures right now, but we'll get into what we would do here. Factory floor pans look pretty solid. No rust through this. Hopefully it's just surface rust. You'll know more when you really take this car even further down to a shell. Bumpers there. Looks like it had dual exhaust. It's got the cutout for the marker light. Actually, the roof looks really solid. This car looks pretty rust-free. This is probably a good start. This back corner area, any GMA body is gonna suffer from rust. All the water kind of goes here and doesn't really have a good natural drain. So just plan on having to do some work on that. The glass is intact, looks pretty complete. You'll have to see what he's got as far as that tote. But also a lot of this stuff you're probably gonna swap out if you go with this kind of build plan we're gonna talk about. A little bit of rust here in the trunk area. These look good here, these trunk corners. Looks like he focused in on the spot because they're commonly rusted out in that area. Okay, so let's get started kind of dream building this thing from the ground up right off the bat. So first things first, this isn't even really a part, but I would probably have this car disassembled and media blasted and just start with like the raw sheet metal. That way any issues that need to be taken care of, they can be done in metal. If you're spending all the money on a really nice car, that's the way to go. You know, if you're gonna have this car media blasted down to bare metal, it just depends on where you are in the country. You know, labor rates vary quite a bit, but just plan on somewhere from like $2,000 to $5,000 for media blasting to get all these parts in bare metal. Of course, once you do that and the cars are getting metal worked, this car has to be inside. You're gonna have to preserve that because bare steel just wants to flash rust really quick. So keep that in mind. You know, this car looks pretty good. You know everything. There's no lies once it's blasted down to bare sheet metal. You can really see what it is. And if you're gonna build up a really, really nice high-end car, you wanna start with that bare metal canvas. And from there, I would like right away get started on the foundation. This car is like non-numbers matching, so I wouldn't feel too bad about like changing a lot of these components. So my kind of go-to on something like that would probably be a Roadster Shop chassis. Hop on their site real quick because they have a lot of really good chassis, especially for the GMA body, and they have a really high-end chassis that I kind of want to go with and show you guys. Most of the time when you're looking at these chassis, you're gonna see like a initial price, and then there's just so many options with a chassis that you're basically going to option that chassis out, and then the price is just gonna go way up from there. So let's just start with this Fast Track chassis. This is like their top of the line chassis. This is like the ultimate in pro touring performance. You can see how nice this thing is. Huge upgrade from the stock chassis. This one even, you can get it with IRS. So right here, fine print, shown with options. Think about that when you're shopping for these chassis. They can get really expensive. Right here, you're gonna go through all these options. Let me just do that real quickly and we'll show you guys the end price for all of this. So we're gonna narrow it so that we can put some big tubs in there, drop it, requiring floor pan modifications. So we're gonna get this thing on the ground as far as the ride height, add exhaust ports through the frame. Let's do it. Let's see your lowered rear stands. Yep, let's do it. Let's just go with no engine mount because I want to talk to you guys about the engine later. Trans mount options. Let's do manual. I want to do a nice 6-speed in this car. Front suspension. Let's upgrade to these single adjustables. So we're gonna do this Woodward racing rack, really nice high-end rack and pinion. As you can tell, it's 2,500 bucks. Control arm options. So we're gonna do billet arms and spindles, why not? Rear suspension. I think we wanna do the IRS. So you can see this quote's getting up there. Sway bar, yep, we want that. 1,200 horsepower axles, we want that. Rocker arms, yep, let's do that. Elite Series, yep, let's do that. Front disc brake options, let's do the Bear Extremes. Then with the rear, we're gonna do the Bear Extremes. Brake line options, want brake line options. I'm gonna say definitely stainless lines. Pedal, yes. Master cylinder mount, yes. Gearing options, 1,200 horsepower with whatever gearing option you want. Okay, so that pretty much rounds it out. You can see our total for the quote right here, $54,000 just for the chassis. So we're just basically getting started. No work has been done to the car pretty much at all, and we're like knocking on the 65.8 with the price of the car included, $1,000 mark. So next thing, so engines. So I'm kind of torn on this one because it is a Pontiac. So let's kind of go down the road of keeping a Pontiac engine in this thing. And Butler Performance is kind of one of the better ones as far as the Pontiac engine stuff. Let's just go straight for the jugular with their 600 to 800 horsepower one. They don't even list the price. Okay, so this is probably where I would get a Pontiac engine from. They're reputable in the Pontiac world. When you're building like the best of the best and it's all aftermarket and it's all custom, it's really hard to just put it into a box where it's like, hey, I want this engine. You basically are gonna want this stuff tailored to your necessities. So the price is gonna vary. So we're gonna put some round numbers on it. Let's right off the bat, let's just hang a $20,000 price tag on this engine. I think we might even be somewhat conservative on that, but let's do that. Transmission wise, I would like to do a 6-speed. We use Silver Sport for those, so let's option out a 6-speed real quick from them. Let's do a quick quote. That sounds right up our alley, quick quote. Okay. Quick quote means you need to email them all your specifics and then they email you back a price. That's kind of what we're running into. So I can't even get a price for the transmission. Last transmission we bought, just baseline, we have this Chevelle here actually, which is a GMA body as well. This thing has a bad to the bone 6-speed in it with a dual disc clutch, just rated to like, I think 1,000 horsepower. So just based off that, we'd probably want to do something very similar to that. It was a pretty all-inclusive kit, everything down to the drive shaft. It just handled everything. And I think you're looking somewhere in the $10,000 to $12,000 range on that. So tally that in. That basically takes care of like just the big components as far as engine, trans, and chassis. From there, there's a lot of other stuff involved, like your entire cooling system, electrical. You can basically plan on buying like probably a painless performance wiring harness kit. That'll probably set you back, you know, somewhere in the $1,500 range, depending on how you spec that out. If you're going fuel injection, which if money was no option, I'd probably put a nice Phytech unit on there. You know, so plan another 2,000 bucks if you do all the best fuel pumps and all that kind of good stuff. And then wheels and tires. These are things that are so specific to your taste as far as wheels and tires. Some people like big wheels with skinny tires. Some people complain, they say, no, these muscle cars should have tiny wheels with big tires. We're gonna be on this project kind of stuck with like an 18-inch or larger wheel, I think, because of the giant brakes that we optioned out. So I would do a forged wheel. This Chevelle has a really nice set of forged American racing wheels. I would probably do the same thing. Another set of American Racing wheels, they build them to spec. So you order these wheels and the price varies based on how you build them. These ones are all polished, but they have tons of options for finishes. Let's just budget like somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 just for wheels if you're doing really nice high-end forged wheel. So that's what I would go with wheels. Set of tires. Plan on 1,500 bucks. You're gonna want like ultra high performance tires for this thing. Some of the stuff we use a lot are Michelin Pilot Sports. Those are really good tires. BFG Rivals, really good tires. These are sticky compound tires. So when you have a chassis that can do all that good handling and you have an engine that's putting down power, you want a tire that's comparable to the performance of the rest of the car. And you're gonna spend money on those and they're gonna wear out faster. But when money's no object, build it how you want. That touches on a lot of the rolling components. Interior, same thing. I don't know, you know, there is some companies like TMI that offer a full interior kit. Those are kind of, you pick a lot of options out of their catalog and stuff. Those can run anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 and up. If you're building a really nice car though, and you want a custom interior, you want to pick out your finishes, your stitching, you're gonna have a shop like really just take care of you, real leather in there. I mean, you could easily spend $3,000 to $5,000 just on materials for leather to do a full muscle car. So high-end interior, let's just budget $20,000. I mean, that's like a safe budget. That'll probably get you like not the highest end interior, but something really nice. I've seen interiors cost 50 grand and up. So I know it sounds outrageous, but some of these cars you see in the magazines and SEMA cars and feature stuff, I mean, people got a ton of money in these things, so it's real easy to start racking up that bill. Body and paint. So we use SV Body and Paint. We use them quite a bit, and they do killer work. They painted this Chevelle. This is a really high-end paint job. I'm probably not gonna disclose exactly what we paid on this because this was a really nice car to start with. When we took this car down to bare metal, it was all original 50,000 mile car, never really been in an accident, didn't have any rust. So unless you have a car like that, basically, you're gonna spend a lot of money on the rust repair. That could vary. That is basically dependent on the car you start with. So start with the nicest car, but you want a real nice high-end paint job, like say you want a black GTO like that with like show quality, money is no object, match the level of the chassis you're putting in all this. You know, just budget 50 grand for body and paint on that. And you could go up from there. You could find some hidden stuff on this car that costs a lot more than that. A car like this probably, it's one of those things, once you get all those parts on a car like this, like look at these moldings, they're there and they look okay. But once you get stuff at this level, all those little parts change. So we won't get into the nitty gritty about every single molding piece and stuff, but just add that into your budget. You're probably gonna wanna change this glass, put all new glass in there, make it look really brand new, fresh car. So it depends on the route you go. Sometimes this original stuff, if it's not dinged up too bad or completely bent, I'm a big proponent of sending this stuff out to a polishing shop that can straighten it out, polish it, and then you have like nice original stainless on the car. Some of the reproduction stuff is aluminum, some of it doesn't fit as well. And you kind of need to do this, you need to fit all this like while you're bodyworking and painting to do it correctly. Maybe have these vent wing windows re-chromed and rebuilt. I would say if you're talking re-chroming bumpers, like that big rear bumper, re-chroming these vent windows, polishing all this trim and stuff, budget another $6,000 to $7,000 for that. And of course, going into the interior, that pricing is basically just for upholstering that I talked about. So you're gonna have a lot of other major components you're gonna wanna change. Steering wheel, steering column, gauges, underdash AC unit. So just rough ballpark, you know, gauges, nice set of Dakota Digitals, $2,000. Column and steering wheel. I mean, on this car, you could get a Spark Industries steering wheel. You could spend $3,000 to $4,000 on a steering wheel. So I mean, we're really getting up there. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out. Joe's tallying them up as I talk, so because I lost track in my head already. Sometimes when you're building a car like this, it's better for your mental health to lose track. But that's the video we're making today. So we're gonna talk about spending all the money on this car. You know, I used to do this for a living. I'd build a car on paper, and sometimes I would spend 20 hours building a car out because you gotta research exactly the way you want to build the car. A lot of this stuff is spec'd to order, so you're calling companies, getting exact pricing on exactly what you want. That way, you know, I would like to present a really detailed build plan for the car and try not to stray from that because it's easy to get involved in a build and, you know, see the next new thing that popped up on the market and it's like, you know, it catches your eye and then it changes 4 things around it. So stick to the plan. Even if money's no object, there's a lot of good parts out there and it'll speed up your build process to stick to the plan. But without going into a ton of little stuff, like I didn't even talk about lighting. You know, you're probably gonna wanna do all LED lighting on this thing, add that to the budget. And then we're not even really talking about like real personalized custom stuff. So like if you had an idea in your head about a spoiler that would look good on this car and you had someone fabricate it, just throw $10,000 at that right there. Stuff like that, you know? So like a hood scoop, you wanna change this a little bit, make these nostrils bigger or something. You got all the money in the world, so like why not? Just pay somebody to do it. Clean up this bumper. You know, I'm not a huge fan of like where they have this. Here, let's just click on this. So they have like a location for the license plate, you know? If you're building a really nice high-end car, I don't like how front license plate looks, so get rid of this, maybe make this bumper consistent, throw another $5 grand of fabrication work at that. I could go on and on. I'm sure Joe's just adding up. I'm curious to see like where we're even like, what ballpark are we in? Are we over 100 grand already, Joe? Is that including the price of the car? Car's at 11.5, so it's real easy to go buy a car. It's almost like not even the biggest part of it. I think the chassis might have been one of the biggest parts right now. Yeah, so we're circling back to like 10 grand in hardware. I think that's even conservative. If you wanted to go like full stainless hardware on this entire car, easy 10 grand on stainless hardware. So yeah, so we're at what, 225, somewhere in there? You know, I've seen cars that just the plumbing. You do real high-end like stainless plumbing, all AN fittings, another 10 grand in plumbing. It adds up quick. So anyone who's built a car, like I said, when you go to this level, a lot of shops will only do a time and materials thing because it's too hard to plan every single screw. As much as you try, build it out, say it's 250 grand on paper, tell yourself in your head you're gonna spend 300 grand on this car. This is insane to me. I mean, it happens out there. There's shops doing really killer cars, and I love the fact that there's people out there throwing that kind of money because like for us, for the everyday guy, we get to see a car like that, you know? Like where else can you enjoy craftsmanship that has like no budget, you know? So if you go to some of these big shows, Detroit Autorama, where the Riddler cars, those are like the highest end cars. Sometimes you don't even know it, but you're looking at a car that has like a couple $1 million into it, which is staggering to me. But it's out there, so we wanted to talk about it a little bit and just give you an idea of how quick you can get into like just a 6-figure car. I mean, we were in a 6-figure car, like basically like with very few, like we were like 4 parts in and we were already at like 6 figures. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave in the comments what you would do differently. Would you not go that far with the chassis? Would you just do a full different style build? This would end up being like a pro touring build. Would you do like a drag car? We are currently like kind of watching Drag Week in the office. Tell us what you guys would do. Would you guys build like a drag car, a pro touring car? Would you not go this far? Would you just build like a $60,000, $70,000 car that you're not as worried about and you can go drive, park it in a parking lot, take it to shows? What would you guys do? We're curious to hear. That's our quick take on it. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep having fun with cars.